For me, there's nothing more exciting than campaign fishing for carp. Don't get me wrong, short sessions, a bit of stalking, grabbing an opportunity when it pops up, it can all be fun. But when you've got a target fish in mind, it just takes things to a whole new level. Planning your approach, getting the kit dialed in, really putting in the effort. And when you're chasing something special, that image of the fish is what keeps you going. Now, it's not always easy. Sometimes it takes weeks, months, even years. And yeah, there's a chance you might never catch it. But every now and then, the carp gods are on your side, and that magic bite comes earlier than you ever expected. This occasion was exactly like that. It isn't the first time I've been lucky enough to catch the target carp in quick succession. My first ever filming trip back in, I think, 2019 with dynamite baits, my first shoot with a camera crew behind me. I was super nervous just for the filming itself, but of course to produce a carp for the cameras. It's a big lake in central London. I was baiting up every other day. I went down there, I was with Steve, the cameraman, I cast the rod out and I had a bite within 3 minutes and it was the target fish.
Mate, it's a chunk, it's a chunk, it's an absolute chunk. Oh no, it's a mirror, it's a big mirror. It's in that net. Yes!
In a lake with 300 carp in, I managed to catch the target, a 35-pound royal mirror carp, just a ridiculous fish. So it's not the first time I've been lucky. However, this one is also a very, very special carp. One of those ones that blew me away when I'd seen the pictures. Old as the hills, purple and red in colour, big apple slice scales, just a true relic of a carp. One of the ones that stands out a mile. When this fish first surfaced on social media, I remember it going crazy. It was actually back in 2021 I first saw the pictures. A guy called Tom and Alfie Russell, who I'm sure you're aware of, both caught it that year, and like I say, it was just absolutely ridiculous. And luckily for me, it was residing in central London, so I knew that it was only a matter of time until I had this carp in my own album. It wasn't until this year, 2025, that I actually went down the lake for the first time. Fishing other venues, opening my own tackle shop, all the excuses, but this year was going to be different. No matter what, I was going to have that carp in my album by the end of the year. Now, the venue where the carp resides is very unique. It's a small canal / new river system that sort of opens up into a little lake, and then adjacent to that is a small reservoir. Now, the rumours are that the carp can pass through the canal and the small lake and into the reservoir. Now, I say carp. By carp, I mean just 2 fish. The purple mirror, the 30-pounder, and a smaller common, both of which have been caught by multiple anglers now that have fished the lake. But nothing else has been seen and nothing else has been caught. So I knew that my best chance of catching this fish was either stalking or it was finding the carp and baiting a small trap and doing quick overnighters. So I wasted no time. As soon as we had those first warm days in the spring, 18, 19 degrees, I knew that was my best opportunity to locate the carp and see if it was in the small lake or the big lake. I remember getting my gear prepped, being super excited. I always love the start of a new campaign, making notes in my phone, checking the weather, getting the bait prepped, and I actually invited my flatmate along with me. He's not a carp fisherman, but he was curious to see what I got up to and what I meant by targeting a certain carp, so I was really hopeful to see it on this first trip.
Here we come, little fishies.
What do you reckon? We're going to see it today, yeah?
Mate.
It's the hottest day of the year so far. It's 18 degrees, and I'm telling you, there's a good chance we're going to see this carp on the surface. You're not really dressed for the job, mate.
Oh, I know. Look at it, it's like a swamp. Wild crocs.
Don't fall in, mate. Oh.
Unfortunately, upon arrival, I noticed that there were some building works going ahead. Not good timing at all. I spoke to the builder and he said to me this was going to be going on for the next 2 weeks, and the majority of the time was going to be really early starts. This didn't work at all with my plan to do quick overnighters, and of course just a lot of disturbance. But I didn't want it to be a completely wasted trip, so from where I was, I threw some tiger nuts over the fence and into the smaller of the 2 lakes, just to try and see if the carp would find it and get familiar with the bait. A few weeks passed by and it was time for me to get back down to the lake. Another nice warm day, and this time I was going to be going alone. Of course, with there only being 2 carp, the chance of me actually seeing a fish, never mind the one, was always going to be low. I started off, it's probably around 2 p.m. when the sun was at its highest, and there's a good chance the carp would be in the upper layers. I walked around the smaller of the 2 lakes first, and then made my way onto the bigger reservoir. Now, I got almost all the way around the lake, and I thought, yeah, of course I wasn't going to see anything. 2 fish, they could be right out in the middle. The clarity is pretty good, but you know, not enough to see right down past the marginal shelf. So I got all the way around and thought, oh, it's going to be one of them ones where I've just got to bait a spot and hope that the carp comes and finds the bait. And then right as I got right to the far corner, the furthest point away from the entry point to these lakes, as I got there, I saw the big one. There was no common in sight, it was just the big purple mirror. Of course, I was absolutely buzzing. I got my phone out, filmed a couple of videos of it.
There it is. There it is.
After seeing this, you can imagine that I just wanted to get some bait in and get fishing. But of course, with some small doubts in my mind that with the sun being out, this might just be a spot where the carp likes to sunbathe. So I did, of course, bait this spot. It was a nice little area. It seemed to sort of drop off a little bit from the marginal shelf and then sort of stay at around 6-7 feet. So a perfect area really this time of year. However, I was well aware that the carp could easily move away and then not return here, you know, for a period of time. So I baited with tiger nuts and some boilies in that corner, and I also baited another spot as well at the other side of the lake, just as a plan B. But either way, this was a really good start, and as you can imagine, I was really excited to get back in a couple of days with the rods. A few nights later, and it was time to get out for my first night of this campaign. So far, it all seems pretty straightforward, and to be honest, it was. Small lake, 2 carp, I'd found the big one in the corner. I just need to get my gear down and get some rods out and hopefully catch it. Seems pretty straightforward. However, the getting the gear down there part wasn't so easy. It was probably a half-an-hour drive from my flat in London. Parking was pretty straightforward, but it was a long walk from the car, so I opted to take as minimal gear as possible. I had my scope bed, I had my little 6-foot rods and my rucksack. I didn't even take a bivvy with me, so who knows what would happen if it rained. And it was quite a bit of a trek. Through the forest, over fences, and then all the way right to the far end of the lake, and then plotted my gear down and thought, this is a graft. But my gear was in the swim, I was tucked away, and I was just excited to see what this session would entail. Now, I knew that, you know, if I did get a bite, it was going to be one of 2 fish. So I opted to put 2 rods on the spot, just to guarantee that I was going to be fishing, spread a few tiger nuts out, spread a few boilies out, and I put both rods relatively close together, same rig and everything, something I was really confident in, and then I set the little traps down, slack lines off the marginal shelf to this spot, and that was all I could really do. Apart from walking and, you know, the heavy gear through all the forest to get to the spot, it was relatively straightforward. I didn't have to think too much. I was confident in the rigs, confident in everything, the location. I just needed to hope that this carp was in this corner.
Well, there was no rain forecasted, but it's raining and it's getting relatively heavy, so the only option is unhooking Matt over the bed, put as much stuff underneath the bed as I can, and go sleep and hope it stops. Not good.
Surprise, surprise. I woke up that morning to not even a single bleep, and if I'm honest, I was a little bit disheartened. Despite the fact I'd only done one night, and in any usual campaign that'd be completely normal. You'd be, you know, putting the pieces of the jigsaw together, starting to get an idea of the lake, and maybe think about moving somewhere else. But here, I didn't know what else I could do, so it was almost, you know, come back, rinse and repeat, clockwork, back to that spot again. I baited both spots again, with the hopes of returning in a couple of days, and that's exactly what I did. I returned back, I remember thinking as I was carrying my bed and everything through the bushes, oh, I hope this isn't a 20-night campaign. And I got to the spot and I kept everything the same apart from I changed over my hook baits from a boilie to a tiger nut, because I forgot to mention, on that first night when I reeled in, I had no hook baits on. There must have been a lot of crayfish in there because there was no bird life, no nuisance fish as far as I'm aware. So I believe it to be crayfish. It completely whittled off my wafters. So on that second trip, I put tiger nut hook baits on, a single little tiger nut with a bit of foam in the middle, balanced, both of them on the spot. So the second trip, rods are out, super confident. I just had that small bit of doubt that maybe the carp wasn't here, but I couldn't do anything about it. So I sat back and I called Henry to tell him I was back. I told him I'm going to catch that carp tonight. Turned out to be a pretty pointless phone call. I wanted to call him to say I've got tiger nuts on, I'm in the corner, the pressure's low, it's nice and warm out here, I'm going to get that big one tonight. But he was at a football game and he was drunk, so I come off the phone call with Henry. I remember lying down and I'd probably only been asleep for a couple of hours, and I woke up to, I think, a couple of bleeps, just bleep bleep. I sat up, I thought, there's no birds there, there's no nuisance fish, it could be a liner, that's a really good sign, it could be a big one. And then, as soon as I put my head back down, bleep, 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 like the slowest bite you can imagine, just ticking off. And I've jumped up, I was half asleep, but I was thinking, oh my God, this could be the big one. Put my GoPro on my chest, I've turned it on, picked the rod up, and I was just praying it was going to be the big one.
Oh my God, it's the big one. No way. I've just had a really slow bite, come out thinking it was a bream or something. Oh, look at that fish. Oh my gosh, it's not fighting very hard, it's so old. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Yes, get in. No way. Oh. 2 nights, in and out.
As you can imagine, I was absolutely buzzing. I'd done everything right, and there's no reason why I shouldn't have caught that carp, but you always have that little bit of doubt that it's going to be one of them 20, 30 night campaigns. So I was over the moon, and I just knew how special that carp was. I texted all my friends, all the ones that knew I was fishing the lake, and said, I've caught the big one, I've caught the big one. And one of them was actually awake at the time. I think it was about 3:30, and he said he was up early and he was able to come down and get pictures and videos for me before going to work. So as you can imagine, I put the fish in the sling and I just lay there, tried my best to sleep, but I was just too excited. So I just watched the sunrise, just absolutely buzzing.
Good morning. Look who's come to save the day. Mr. Alpar.
Hello.
It's 5 AM. He's the only person who's up this bright and early, and he saved me doing self takes. It's a banger.
Wow.
It's hard to get to, innit?
So how are you gonna get in?
Mate, look at the state of this fish. Look at the colour of it. Look how old it is, man. Scales are almost coming out of its body. That is an ancient carp. It's not very often I'm lost for words in carp fishing, but this fish is just, well, not one of, it is the most prehistoric, unique carp I've ever seen on the bank. The scales, the coloration, the mouth, everything about it is just look at that. An ancient carp, it's got to be 40, 50 years old. The scales are almost starting to fall off. Unfortunately, it had some braid wrapped around it, which was starting to dig into its skin, which I've managed to cut out. Don't need to say much, do I? Look at it. Just look at that.
Mega carp, mate.
They don't come any more special than that one. Thanks to Alpar behind the camera. He's come down 5 AM before work. Otherwise I'd have been doing self-takes, which would not have done this fish justice. It's an old fish, so I'm going to get it back. That's made my year, that has.
So what are you saying, Mush? Happy?
Shortest campaign ever, 2-night jobby. Baited up once,
And
fished
probably
it
the
twice.
lowest stock ever, no?
Lowest stock lake I've ever fished, 2 carp in the lake. 3 trips all in all, well 4. A recce 4 years ago, baiting up 2 weeks ago, 2 nights and we've caught it. They don't all go like that, but when they do, look certainly on your side. And what a carp that was. I'm not going to beat that one for a while.